Most people do not fail because they are incapable. They fail because they never clearly decide what they want. They wake up each day reacting to circumstances instead of directing them. Life becomes a cycle of routines, responsibilities, and survival, rather than intention and growth. Napoleon Hill believed this was the greatest tragedy of human potential, living without a definite purpose. A person without direction is always busy, but rarely productive. Effort is present, but progress is missing. Energy is spent, but results feel random. This is because action without direction leads nowhere. When the mind has no clear destination, it drifts. And a drifting mind is easily influenced by fear, opinions, distractions, and comfort. Most people confuse motion with movement. They believe that because they are working, struggling, or staying busy, they must be moving forward. But motion without direction is exhaustion. True progress requires clarity. It requires knowing not only that you are moving, but where you are going. Napoleon Hill observed that people who lack purpose often blame external factors for their dissatisfaction. They blame the economy, their background, their education, or their circumstances. But the deeper issue is internal. Without a clear purpose, the mind cannot organize effort. It cannot prioritize. It cannot endure discomfort for long periods because there is no strong reason to do so. A life without direction slowly erodes confidence. Each year passes without meaningful progress, and doubt begins to replace belief. People start lowering expectations to avoid disappointment. Dreams become vague wishes. Eventually, survival replaces ambition. This is not because people stop wanting more. It is because they stop believing clarity is possible. The most dangerous thing about a directionless life is that it feels normal. Society rewards routine, not purpose. People are praised for staying busy, not for staying focused. As long as someone appears productive, no one questions whether they are fulfilled. This normalization of drift is why so many people live below their potential. Napoleon Hill believed that the moment a person clearly defines their purpose, their entire mental state changes. Confusion begins to disappear. Anxiety reduces. Energy becomes more concentrated. The mind finally has something specific to move toward. Purpose is not just about success. It is about mental order. A definite purpose is not a wish, a dream, or a vague ambition. It is a clear, specific decision about what you intend to achieve and who you intend to become. Desire says, I would like this someday. Purpose says, this is what I am committed to, regardless of difficulty. Napoleon Hill made a sharp distinction between desire and purpose, because desire alone does not produce discipline. Desire fades when conditions become uncomfortable. Purpose remains. Purpose is anchored in decision. Once a person commits to a definite purpose, their behavior begins to change automatically. A definite purpose gives the mind something precise to organize around. Thoughts become clearer. Decisions become easier. Time becomes more valuable. When purpose is clear, distractions feel irrelevant. When purpose is unclear, everything feels equally important, and that is dangerous. Most people fail to develop a definite purpose because they fear commitment. Commitment removes escape routes. It demands responsibility. When a person commits to a clear goal, excuses lose their power. There is no one else to blame. Purpose forces accountability, and accountability is uncomfortable for those who prefer comfort over growth. Another reason people avoid defining purpose is fear of failure. If the goal is unclear, failure feels less personal. But Napoleon Hill taught that avoiding failure also means avoiding success. Clarity always involves risk. But without clarity, progress is impossible. A definite purpose must be specific. The mind cannot focus on vagueness. I want to be successful is not a purpose. I want to improve my life is not a purpose. Purpose must answer 3 questions. What exactly do I want? Why do I want it? What am I willing to give in return? Once these questions are answered honestly, the mind begins to shift. Discipline no longer feels forced. Sacrifice feels meaningful. Effort feels justified. Purpose transforms struggle into investment. Napoleon Hill emphasized that purpose must be emotionally charged. Logic alone is not enough. The reason behind the goal must be strong enough to sustain effort when motivation disappears. This emotional connection fuels persistence and strengthens focus. A person with a definite purpose does not need constant inspiration. They act because action aligns with who they are becoming. Purpose becomes an internal compass, guiding decisions even in uncertainty. Focus is not something you force. It is something that emerges naturally when purpose is clear. A scattered mind is not a weak mind, it is a confused one. Once confusion is removed, focus appears automatically. Napoleon Hill believed that focus is the practical expression of purpose. When purpose is definite, the mind stops wasting energy on unnecessary options. Choices become limited. Attention narrows. This narrowing is powerful. It allows depth instead of distraction, progress instead of busyness. Most people attempt to improve focus by controlling behavior, but the real issue lies in intention. Without a clear purpose, discipline collapses under pressure. With purpose, discipline becomes effortless because actions align with direction. Focus also protects energy. Every distraction drains mental strength. Social noise, comparison, and constant information overload weaken concentration. A person with purpose becomes selective. They guard their time, attention, and environment because they understand the cost of distraction. Napoleon Hill taught that success is rarely the result of doing many things at once. It is the result of doing one important thing consistently over time. Focus multiplies effort. It allows small actions to compound into massive results. When focus is strong, procrastination disappears. Not because tasks become easier, but because priorities become clearer. The mind no longer debates whether action is necessary. It understands that action is aligned with purpose. Focus also strengthens emotional stability. When the mind knows where it is going, uncertainty feels less threatening. Setbacks feel temporary. Opinions feel irrelevant. Purpose creates inner certainty, and certainty creates calm. Ultimately, focus is the bridge between intention and achievement. Without it, purpose remains theoretical. With it, progress becomes measurable. Every day becomes a step rather than a repetition. This is the power of definite purpose. It transforms confusion into clarity, effort into progress, and movement into meaning. Asterisk, even the clearest purpose can be weakened by distractions, doubt, and social noise. Napoleon Hill emphasized that people fail not because their goals are unreachable, but because their minds are flooded with unnecessary input. Comparison, opinions, social expectations, and irrelevant information dilute focus and energy. Without mental discipline, the mind drifts toward comfort instead of growth. Distractions are subtle but relentless. Every notification, every rumor, every outside voice competes with your inner clarity. If purpose is not strong, these influences easily sway decisions. Doubt creeps in when the mind wonders, am I capable? Or is this really worth it? The more the mind entertains such thoughts, the weaker belief becomes, and momentum slows. The solution is selective attention. Protect the mind by controlling inputs, curating the environment, and limiting exposure to negativity. Faith in your purpose grows when you reduce noise. Napoleon Hill described this as building an inner fortress, a mental space where focus is sacred and decisions are guided by conviction, not fear or social pressure. Purpose only becomes power when it is expressed through decisive action. Indecision is the enemy of progress. Napoleon Hill observed that successful people decide quickly and change slowly, while those who fail delay constantly. Decision is the bridge between intention and achievement. Daily alignment is key. Every action, habit, and choice must be connected to purpose. Time is the most valuable resource. Each hour spent in distraction is an hour lost from progress. Commitment means removing excuses, taking responsibility, and ensuring that even small actions reflect long-term goals. Sacrifice is natural in a purpose-driven life. Comfort may be lost, but growth is gained. Fear remains, but it no longer dictates behavior. Commitment transforms struggle into investment. When purpose is clear, persistence becomes automatic, and setbacks become temporary obstacles, not permanent barriers. Living a faith-driven, purpose-aligned life creates independence. You stop seeking validation or waiting for perfect conditions. Clarity and action generate momentum. Over time, the person evolves into someone who acts with confidence, resilience, and intent. Purpose is no longer abstract. It becomes a daily practice, a guiding principle, and the ultimate source of achievement. In the end, definite purpose combined with focus, discipline, and commitment turns potential into reality. It transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results. It is the invisible force behind every accomplishment, shaping identity, guiding decisions, and making success inevitable.